brainwashing station. Tendamwari, kings and queens. Garvey lives, Mosiah lives. You are tuned into Afrika Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio, the only brainwashing station. The date is Kulichagulia, Monday, the 15th of Mosiah, and the time is 3 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. As usual at Kings and Queens, Afrika Speaks of Alkebu-Lan is known for keeping its finger on the pulse of the African community, addressing the most pertinent issues which some radio stations just will not touch. So keep it locked on Kings and Queens to Galaxy Radio, 102.5 FM, galaxyafiwi.com for the next 2 hours between now and the hour of 10 p.m. as we talk it straight and make it plain. This show is not for the faint-hearted. Our subject this evening, Kings and Queens, is what do we need to do to attain economic power? Once again, Kings and Queens, what do we need to do to attain economic power, Kings and Queens? This is the second in our Mosiah radio sessions, Kings and Queens. Mosiah Radio for 2016, and our subject is what do we need to do to attain economic power? We have some excellent and very, very special guests joining us from across the waters, the United States of America, Kings and Queens. So do stay tuned in. You do not want to miss this show. I repeat, you do not want to miss this show, Kings and Queens. Garvey lives, Mosiah lives. Tendamwari. Yes, indeed, Kings and Queens. We're in the midst of the month of Mosiah, celebrating the life and legacy of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and the organization of which he was the President General, the UNIA-ACL, Kings and Queens, the organization, the government that set the black print for all other organizations to come and set the black print for how we can liberate ourselves through self-reliance, nationhood, race first, and African spiritual orthodoxy, Kings and Queens. During the month of Mosiah, all of our Afrika Speaks of Alkebu-Lan radio shows are dedicated to illuminating the life and legacy of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, not just for historical relevance, but for lessons in how we can bring forward those lessons in terms of our activities of today. And as said, we have some very, very special guests that are doing just that. We want to give thanks to our last week's show where we had the President General, the man who sits in the seat of the most eminent prophet and king, the current President General of the UNIA-ACL, Baba Senghor Jawara Baye, Kings and Queens. Baba Senghor Jawara Baye, who was breaking down the program of the UNIA-ACL in, significant detail, Kings and Queens. More to come on that, Kings and Queens. More to come on that. And for those who may not be aware, you can listen back to that show right now by visiting our website, www.alkebu-lan.org. Once again, Kings and Queens, that's www.alkebu-lan.org, and you can / Afrika Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Listen to all our previous shows as well as find information on our upcoming shows via alkebu-lan.org / Afrika Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. For those who may not be aware, Alkebu-Lan is spelled ALKEBULAN. That's ALKEBULAN. Brothers and sisters, log the all-important interactive numbers now. The all-important interactive numbers are 07399359644. Okay, there's a number missing from that number there. If we can sort that out, please. But yeah, the next number is 07923 334 515. That's 07923 334 515. I'm gonna get you that first number back in a second, Kings and Queens. Do stay tuned in. Yeah, we want to make sure that you get that. Oh, it's 614. That's what it is. Right, I got that now. So it's 07399359614, Kings and Queens. You can text right now on that particular number right there. That's a texting hotline, 07399359614. Our subject matter is, what do we need to do to attain economic power, kings and queens. Yeah, the lines will be open a little later on, but you can text us right now on the aforementioned line. For now, kings and queens, take in some word sounds.
In the African consciousness, we would define economics as how a people organize their own resources towards the production and distribution of goods and services to meet their own needs and desires. When we talk about economics, the first principle that we need to establish is that we are at the center of determining the processes of our economic development. That we are the masters over our own economy. That Mwari Nakutuka, God the Creator, deemed it to be so. And if we look at the word economics, brothers and sisters, it bears witness. But it's designed to speak to a people out of whom the particular word comes. Not to us. Because if we understand the etymological root of the word, which they understand, eco and nomos. Eco means house, household. Eco means community. Listen to me, good brothers and sisters. Eco can mean family. Nomos mean management. It's the root of the word autonomy. Are you with me? It means management. It means ownership. It means control. Management of household. Household management. Household organization. Household control. How a people control, manage the resources for the security and development of their own family or their own household or their own community. Are you with me? It is not an abstract phenomenon. Brothers and sisters, there is...
Yes, indeed, kings and queens, we have Brother Leader Mbandaka here breaking down the fundamentals of economics for us kings and queens. And you don't know, it's important that we have an African-centered understanding of economics, and that's what we're going to be dealing with today. That was a little introduction just to get you, in the vibration for our show this evening, kings and queens. As you have heard, it's the month of Mosiah. Garvey lives. Mosiah lives, kings and queens. We're going to give you some information about events coming up this week for the month of Mosiah. But before we do so, let me take this time to introduce my regular co-host, pioneer of Afrika Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Tendai Mwari, Mama Kai.
Tendai Mwari.
Indeed.
Swapping over now.
Yeah, I say it got certain time. You know what I mean? It's good to we're living in a time where roles are being switched nowadays, Mama Kai. Yeah?
Oh my God.
We have to start experimenting with these things. You know what I mean?
No, be careful. Be careful.
Indeed.
On Galaxy Radio. Very careful what you say about switching rules.
Indeed. Most definitely, Mama Kai.
Traditionalist here,
Yeah, very much so. How are you, Mama Kai?
I'm very good, thank you. And I've had a very good Sabbath. Give thanks and praises. Garvey lives. Mosiah lives. Yes, brothers and sisters, he lives in the hearts and the minds of every African, even if we don't even know it.
Indeed.
His spirit lives on.
Indeed.
And we give thanks and praises that we can celebrate his life and his legacy this year, so-called 2016, because it is a powerful year, brothers and sisters.
Yes,
and it's,
indeed.
We're going for a turning point as a people, and it's going to be who is going to be leading our people, because at the end of the day, leadership is a natural phenomenon. It's not to fight down, but it's who is going to be in the lead and which philosophy, which paradigm is going to be in charge of our people's psyche in taking us forward. So we give thanks and praises that we are uttering the words of Papa Garvey every day. Tendai Mwari.
Quick question though, in terms of, because one thing that we haven't mentioned over the Mosiah period is the children's summer program for the Afrikan Academy of Excellence, and the Mosiah Children's Day was last Friday gone.
Yes, we did.
How's it all going?
We did announce it.
Okay.
And, I have been promoting the summer program, and we say give thanks and praises. The children are really enjoying it. We're actually putting together we've more or less finished a magazine.
Okay.
Which the children have named Blick and Proud.
For those who don't know what Blick means, kings and queens, Blick is a terminology, a colloquial terminology for someone who's extremely black. Not just black, but extremely black.
Blue
Yeah,
black.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. All
But
right.
it's not when young people say it at school.
Yeah, it's often not supposed. It's often not said in a positive light.
Yes,
It's
yes.
often used as a derogatory terminology.
Yes, so somebody said you're Blick.
Yeah.
You're hawky.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
So they've named it Blick and Proud. Afritots magazine, something like that. It's an African Afritots or something magazine. It's really good. It's just great to see them. They did some research. I think because there's quite a lot of boys on the program,
Right.
it does have a slant to more sports orientated.
Okay, yeah, that happens.
But because it is their magazine, you know,
Yeah,
you
you
can't
have to- yeah, you have
direct
to-
it, you have
yeah,
to allow
yeah,
it to
yeah,
just, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm sure if
Yeah.
it was more girls in the program, it'd have a different slant.
Yeah. It's like sometime. You know what I
So,
mean?
and it might be because the Olympics in the air, who knows?
Yes.
But yes, it has a sporting slant to it. But you know, it's got nice features.
Yes.
Elevating African history.
Okay.
They've got sports profile on different, like Simone Biles, and they have word search, cutout page. These are the things that I asked them what would they want in their magazine. They told me they want a cutout page.
Yeah.
So they had to draft the whole thing themselves. They had to draw the pictures themselves first.
Okay.
And then we took the computerized.
Okay.
Images.
All right.
So we're on the verge of completing. I'm sure by the end of the week it'll be complete.
All right.
And they will be on sale at a limited edition.
Right.
First edition.
Okay. Well, if you want one, kings and queens, you can come down to Mosiah Storm. You're going to get that information a little bit
That's
later
right.
on.
Definitely on sale there.
Or any of our Mosiah events, yeah? And so that's brilliant. And it's those things are important, kings and queens. Marcus Mosiah Garvey and the UNIA-ACL mastered the media of their time. And so it's very important that we teach our children to create their own media, especially in this day and age where them call it information age, kings and queens. So that's the Go ahead. Go ahead,
Tenamar, I was going to say, so the program is still happening.
Yes.
And we've extended it, some parents have asked for an extra week, so we've extended an
So
extra
wait,
week.
you trying to say, Mama Kai, is that some people are trying to get rid of their pitney?
No, sir. No,
All right,
no, no,
okay,
no, no,
okay.
not at all.
All right, okay,
Not
okay.
at all. I
Okay.
don't. Not at all.
All right.
But I think the children are enjoying it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the challenges that parents face in finding childcare.
Yeah, definitely,
And childcare
definitely.
at a reasonable cost.
In this capitalist economy.
This is it, And it's got the cultural, aspect to it. So
Yes,
and a lot of
yes.
parents appreciate that. So we've extended for an extra week. And we do the trips as well. Tomorrow we're going to the Olympic Beach. It's a fake beach. I call
Okay.
it a fake beach. It's an
Yep.
Olympic beach.
Yep.
But I think they put some sand there like a beach.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
big
yeah.
strip of sand.
Okay.
And some water look like sea.
I've heard about it. I wasn't convinced, but it might be an
I'm
experience.
going to go and see this thing.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps saying it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's only £1 entry for the children.
All right, yeah, you might as well.
Yes.
It's cheaper than going to Clacton-on-Sea.
Well, actually, we are going to Clacton-on-Sea as well.
All right, so you're doing both. Okay,
We're
all
doing
right.
both.
So you
I
can
want the real water.
make a comparative analysis. All right.
So we are going to actually do both, and we're traveling with Auntie Jean.
All right.
Auntie Jean has her van, and if you want to, travel anywhere in the country, Auntie
Okay.
Jean will drive you there.
You know, I was in December. I went on the Badi Beach, in Accra. Yeah, when I was in Ghana.
So the Badi Beach.
No beach at England can't really compare. I don't want.
I know.
I just let it go. But yes, Mama Kai, let's get back into
It's kind of close, there's more sand than
It's all right.
corn.
It's all right. It's all right. You know what I mean? That's let it go. You know what I'm saying? Obviously.
You obviously haven't been to Ilfracombe, Devon's 3 Mile beach of sand.
No, I haven't seen
I'm
that.
telling you, that
But
serious
when I can eat tilapia and sweat and
carbonara.
yeah, you know what I'm saying, on the beach, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah, all right.
it's a different experience,
All
okay, you know what I mean, anyway. But yes, so that's the children's program, Kings and Queens. If you want more information about that, please do call 07908 814 152. Once again, that's 07908 814-152 for our Mosiah Summer Program, Kings and Queens. Mosiah events taking place this week. We start with tomorrow. African fundamentalism and the need for African-centered education taking place tomorrow, Ujima Day, Tuesday, the 16th of Mosiah. Noticing that we don't refer to the month as August, Kings and Queens. It is the month of Mosiah, so tomorrow is the 16th of Mosiah. And basically, we're going to be going in terms of dealing with, first of all, giving an explanation of UNIA-ACL education programs and what we can learn from African fundamentalism as an ideology to guide us in terms of developing a relevant revolutionary education for African children in this society, Kings and Queens, in the African world. So do come true the Tuesday, the 16th of Mosiah.
Is it targeted at practitioners, people in the education?
Targeted at parents and practitioners, our community in general, really, if we understand the essence of African-centered education, it has to take place in the context of community and communal parenting, definitely. Do you know what I'm saying? But yes, definitely looking for practitioners and parents to come true, in particular homeschoolers and these kinds of things. Yeah. So yes, that's what we're going to be dealing with tomorrow.
And there are resources for brothers and sisters, African-centered resources.
Definitely, the education African-centered learning aids will most definitely be available and on sale tomorrow, Kings and Queens. So once again, that's tomorrow at Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road, Leighton, from 7 p.m. Kings and Queens. We are following that is the birthday of the Prophet, what we call Mosiah Day, the 17th of Mosiah, or Jama Day Wednesday, and we have a special ceremony as we do every year of observance and celebration of his life and his birth. At Mama Africa Culture Shop from 12 p.m. Kings and Queens, special libation, spiritual vibrations, Kings and Queens, that we're going to be dealing with from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Mama Africa Culture Shop on the birthday of the Prophet. And on Friday, sorry, go ahead.
Sisters, that, if you're unable to come between that time, usually it falls within your lunchtime. If you can just take some time out to meditate on Papa Garvey's words.
Yes, sir.
If you've got books, take it and just read a little maybe not a chapter, but a page or so.
Yes, sir.
Or you can go on the internet and find some words of Papa Garvey. But we meet up, we bring our books and we quote and we just deliberate on Papa Garvey's words, and we share some Kumba expressions as well.
Yeah, man.
So, it's a day of fasting. So again, you can join us by fasting.
Yes.
For that day. And break fast in the evening. Yes, I
understand that Mosiah is not an observance or celebration that takes place wherever the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement is. It's about the African community honouring this life and this legacy. That's so right. Mosiah is wherever we are, if that makes sense, Kings and Queens. All right. Lastly, for this Sabbath, in terms of Mosiah events, we're going to Birmingham, Kings and Queens. We got the Birmingham Strong Crew. Shout out our sister organisations and promoters, the Organisation of Black Unity and SAR Events. Run by our sister Shola in Birmingham Strong. But we're going to be dealing with Mosiah and the Black Arts Revolution, Kings and Queens, the Black Arts Revolution. And yes, indeed, we're going to be joined by some, artists from Birmingham Strong. And we're also going to be breaking down, doing a presentation on how the UNIA-ACL revolutionized the arts of their time. And so the artists on the bill are examples of those who are revolutionizing the arts of this time. Following that, I did say that was lastly, but I was incorrect.
Talk, then it's more of a...
It is a talk, but it's both. So we're mixing, creative expression with discussion, talk, and whatever else like that. So it's going to be a vibrant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. And I know the brothers and sisters in Birmingham have been doing the work to promote that strong. So we're looking forward to that, Mama Kai. You know what I'm saying? And we did that for the first time last year. We went up there and did Marcus Garvey and Garvey's in 101 presentation, and it was beautiful to connect with our brothers and sisters up in Birmingham. It's important that we connect nationally as much as possible. And we had some struggles and tribulations because Birmingham was gridlocked for practically the entire evening, and we still had a strong turnout to our event. So we give thanks for that. Birmingham Strong really wanted to come out for that. So we give we look forward to connecting with our brothers and sisters again, Mama Kai. You know what I'm saying? Lastly, for this Sabbath, we have the State of the Race Convention, the 20th, Saturday 20th of Mosiah, which our subject last year we dealt with African economics. The previous year we dealt with basically we watched the DVD Ma'afa 101, where we're dealing with medical state violence against our community and different those kinds of things. This year we're going to be looking at Black youth and the Black image and media revolution. We're going to be watching a documentary called The Rise and Fall of the Spook Who Sat by the Door. Classic film from the 70s, but we're going to be looking at how they was able to make that film and how the government, in the form of the FBI, actually worked to shut down that film. Then we're going to have a panel of media practitioners of this day and age, whereby we're going to be breaking down, how we can revolutionize our media in this day and age, Kings and Queens. So,
who produced the Spook Who Sat by the Door? He passed away this year.
Last year. No, sorry, the year before that. 2014 he passed away. Yes, I remember because I dedicated my ALD message to him. So Sam Greenlee, his name is, but powerful brother. And the legacy of that film is something that we should never allow to die. That how they never allowed The Godfather to die. They always retell that story, how it was made, and re-show that film. That's one of those films for us, Kings and Queens. So we're gonna be looking at that on Imani Day, Saturday, the 20th of Mosiah. All information for our Mosiah events can be found again at our website, Mosiah. Alkebu-Lan.org/Mosiah 2016. Alkebu-Lan.org/Mosiah 2016, Kings and Queens. Check it out on the website. And before we conclude our Mosiah event announcements for this summer, Tekin Dasomya. Storm, the annual Mosiah Storm. The annual event honoring Marcus Mosiah Garvey, bringing you the Black Music Revolution in progress. It's the Mosiah Storm 10th anniversary, and this year we're going in big. Hosted by Shaka. You want to get the people on the line? With a heavyweight lineup featuring the very best in revolutionary entertainment, including full live band, Asheba and the African Revolution, Dirty Goods, JJ Souls, the return of the best kept secret spoken word collective, Raspek Fire Bingi, Soldier MC, and Mr. Mosiah Storm himself, Gallant. Doors open at 5 p.m. with the Black Power Market, putting black group economics into action. Mosiah Storm takes place on Saturday, the 27th of Mosiah, August, at the Caribou Centre, 7 Gresham Road, London, SW9 7PH. Tickets, £10 in advance, more on the door. Limited edition early bird tickets going for just £7. Get yours now at Alkebu-Lan.org. That's ALKEBULAN.org/Mosiah Storm. This is an event not to be missed. Mosiah Storm 10th anniversary special. The Black Music Revolution in progress. Supported by Galaxy Radio and Got Kush TV. Yes, indeed, Kings and Queens. Yes, indeed, Mosiah Storm coming back on Emmanuel Saturday, the 27th of Mosiah. I won't go through all the information again, just to say it's a 10th anniversary. We're going in massive and large, Kings and Queens. Alkebu-Lan.org/Mosiah Storm. Once again, Alkebu-Lan.org/Mosiah Storm. You can get all the information as well as tickets, Kings and Queens. Get your tickets from Alkebu-Lan.org/Mosiah Storm. I'm going to take this opportunity right now, Kings and Queens, to introduce our resident guest, spiritual leader of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement and ambassador for the UNIA-ACL in the UK, Brother Leader Mbandaka. Tenai Mwari, Brother Leader.
Tenai Mwari, Brother Shakara, Sister Kai, and I bring greetings to you and to our beloved and treasured listeners, as always, in the most precious, powerful, and bountiful name of our motherland, Alkebu-Lan, Mama Africa, in the sacred spirits of our most gracious ancestors, and in a prayer for oneness, hope, and prosperity for all African people upon the face of Mother Earth. Rumbidzokuna Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. It's a joy to be an African and a joy to be here on Galaxy Radio, ministering to the most important people on the planet, the sons and daughters of Africa, in the season of Mosiah. Garvey lives!
Garvey lives!
Mosiah lives!
Mosiah lives! Leader, as has become customary, if we can deal with the building appeal.
Yes, brothers and sisters, we continue to appeal to our people as we continue to do the work. We continue to render a service or services to our people for our empowerment, for our total liberation, for our advancement, our human advancement. The Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement is here in our community, brothers and sisters, continuing to do the work of our people. And as you know, January coming will be 30 years. The Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement was founded in January 1987, so it will be 30 years since the birth of this movement that love you so much, that we work night and day for our empowerment and our advancement as a people. So, brothers and sisters, we continue to appeal for your support in keeping that roof over our heads, where we house the liberation program of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement. I repeat, we work 24/7. Even when we are asleep, brothers and sisters, we're preoccupied with how we can increase our effectiveness and efficiency in serving our people and in vindicating the sacrifices of our most gracious ancestors. So, brothers and sisters, just reminding you that we need your ongoing support of whatever measure. Nothing is too small, nothing is too big. And as I say that, I just thank Sister Yolanda who once again approached me at a gathering recently and, made another healthy contribution to the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement Building Fund. And I also must do a shout out to Baba Colin Carter of the African Caribbean Funeral Services, who has continued to be a tower of strength and support and a source of counsel for the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement. Sister Kai and I had the honor of being in his company for a few hours on Imani Day Saturday, and he really is a fountain of wisdom, and we just bathe ourselves in all the knowledge and wisdom he had to pour upon us, whilst slapping us up as well as Baba. Baba Colin Carter.
He's known to do.
He is known to do. He'll give you a slap or two as well. So we just humble ourselves. So that he's an elder, up in his years, and we really honor his longevity and the work that he has done for our people. So, brothers and sisters, I know you're listening. I know you got your pen and paper, and some of you may really already have this information. Some of you have been making your contributions, and we really thank you. We want to make sure that come the end of this month, for the 8th month running, we want to make sure that we will be able to pay our mortgage on time. Last month's mortgage has been a little bit late, and so on and so forth. So, brothers and sisters, we just need your handsome contributions as best as you possibly can. Our bank account details are as follows: NatWest, account number 23503351. That's NatWest, account number 23503351. Sort code 560017. That's 560017. The account name is Mama Afrika. Mama Afrika spelled with a K, Afrika. Or alternatively, brothers and sisters, you are welcome to visit us at Mama Afrika Culture Shop, 282 High Road, Leighton, E10 5PW. Or alternatively, call us on 07908814152. That's 07908814152 or 07939292720. That's 07939292720. If you want to make arrangements, different arrangements to make your contributions, or if you want to engage in joining our community sponsorship program and organize a monthly payment into our account, but you wish to speak to us in advance. So giving thanks, looking forward to your contributions. Stretch your hands, brothers and sisters, knowing that every penny that you put in the way of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement is coming right back to you and to your children in terms of quality services to our community. Brother Shakara, a quick word on our brother Dalian
Atkinson, yes.
Atkinson.
Murdered in police custody. I should say killed for political purposes.
For legal purposes.
Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, in police custody, brothers and sisters.
Political purposes probably appropriate.
Indeed.
Go ahead.
Last night, yesterday evening, I believe.
Early this morning.
Yeah. So
former Aston Villa footballer
of some note. It just continues really. I don't know what else you say about that, but other than condolences to the family first and foremost, as we always do. And we know that in this time of unrest in terms of the issue of black deaths in police custody, the African community will definitely be keeping its eye on the information as it comes out, and no doubt there will be protests and demonstrations. He's a national figure, the fight continues, kings and queens.
I think we'd be at birth to see where this is going to go, because this, as you said, he's a national figure, so there is national interest in this case. I suspect that perhaps when the police were dealing with him, they didn't know that he was a person of renown.
Yes,
but that shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
It's yet another African
yes.
who has been killed in suspicious circumstances
yes.
at the hands of the police.
Yes.
And I must say that I did hear from an eyewitness who was interviewed on
BBC.
Who attested that the police, after tasering Brother Dalian, and he had fallen to the ground, and they demanded that he put his hand behind his back. He was not able to respond. They started kicking him. Several police officers were kicking him, and they tasered him about 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
Whilst he was on the ground, helpless and not responding.
Yes.
So I wait to see what will come out of the IPCC's investigation.
Yes.
But it is looking as so many that have gone before.
Yes.
So many cases of Africans dying at the hands of the police. It's looking highly suspicious.
Definitely.
So watch your space, brothers and sisters. We will keep you posted.
Most definitely. We'll keep, and we'll be sure to come back to that on Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan Kings and Queens. So stay tuned for that. Brothers and sisters, our subject today in our Mosiah radio sessions for 2016 is what do we need to do to attain economic power? Tenamwari.
Space. And we want to especially welcome you to Jamaica. We know that this is your first time to Jamaica because we have been trying to get you here forever. So we know it's your first time. So welcome to Jamaica.
Thank you so very extremely much because I always want to come to Jamaica.
Yes.
For many, many reasons.
Right. And I've heard you in the video that you did, the promotional video coming into Jamaica, make reference to the land of Marcus Garvey. Tell me about your interest and your knowledge of Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
You see, I grew up in a house that was Garvey all the way. Nothing else. Just Garvey. I've never been to school. I've never been to church. All I heard was Garvey. Garvey. By listening to Garvey, and I began to pay attention later on in my life to the history of this man, and in traveling, I found out that Mr. Marcus Garvey was the only individual, and I'm going to repeat it. He was the only individual that came to his race with something that was pragmatic. He was the only one that came trying to make the reconnection again because he saw the value in that. He could understand that. It's like China. Today, China is the richest country in the world. But Chinese speak Chinese, they eat Chinese, they think Chinese, they worship Chinese. We need to go to Garvey to think black, worship black, work with black, and love black. There's no crime in that. Everybody does it, just the laws of nature. Garvey was at the center of my life all through my 82 years on this planet. When I went to Africa and I spoke to the presidents, many presidents, they too told me that they were admirers of Garvey and that he was their mentor. So I can't see why we had problem with Garvey. We should bring him back. We should resurrect Garvey because he's the only one that came with a pragmatic program. In fact, I'm not a member of any black organization, and I will never be a member of any one of them. Why? Because they come with things that are unrelated to our condition. Garvey came with the answer.
Tenamwara Kings and Queens. We heard Baba Senghor Baye, the President General of the UNIA, speaking about the fact that Dr. Sebi was raised by Garveyites of the Black Cross nurses, and that was Dr. Sebi attesting to that fact, Kings and Queens. We play that as a tribute to our recently ascended Baba, who was laid to rest last Thursday, Kings and Queens. So we continue to send our prayers of elevation to the spirit of Dr. Sebi, a man who did a great work on behalf of the African world community, Kings and Queens. And I don't think we probably fully appreciate the legacy of that man, and we'll probably have to do a show on that at some point soon. Yes, but we have to continue to pay tribute to Dr. Sebi. Right, brothers and sisters, let's get into our show.
May soul rise like Ra on the wings of, let's say, may the spirits of our ancestors gather around him and give him safe conveyance into the higher realm. And may his soul rise like Ra on the wings of Ma'at after a favorable judgment in the council of Asar. Ashe.
Ashe.
Asheu.
Ashe.
Amen Ra.
Amen Ra.
It is done.
Tendai
Mwari.
Garvey lives.
Garvey lives.
Mosiah lives.
Mosiah lives.
Okay, Kings and Queens, our show subject today is what do we need to do to attain economic power? Tenamwari. One of the key triumphs of the Garvey movement was its capacity to mobilize African people around an economic vision in ways that have not been achieved since. A mere 5 years after the UNIA-ACL was founded in Jamaica in July 1914, the organization was able to capitalize the Black Star Line at a minimum of $500,000. 3 months later, in September 1919, the company brought its first ship, the SS Yarmouth, to be renamed the SS Frederick Douglass for $165,000. If we use the economic power measurement as a means of determining today's equivalent, it would amount to $37,400,000, kings and queens. Similarly, by mid-1921, the company raised another $250,000, equivalent to $60,400,000 today, to secure a ship to take workmen and materials to Liberia, kings and queens. In addition to its fundraising, $200,000, that's $40,200,000 in today's money, was raised for extra Black Star Line vessels, as well as $50,000, $10,200,000 for today's money, for industrial equipment for Liberia. This modern day equivalent of $148 million doesn't take into account the income generated by the UNIA's Negro Factories Corporation that employed hundreds in Harlem alone, or numerous other enterprises. No organization has since come close to amassing the economic leverage of the UNIA-ACL, in spite of a plethora of well thought out proposals, programs and plans, and in spite of Africans generating multi-trillion dollar and multi-billion pound economies in the USA and UK respectively. Clearly no organization has accrued the mass membership of the Garvey movement, which was its foundation. Key to this was the manner in the organization. Key to this was manner in the organization. The manner in which the organization was structured. Mama Ruth Smith, former assistant of the UNIA-ACL International, Madam Demina, speaking to author Jeanette Smith Irving in 1987, recalled, quote, "All my social activities were in the UNIA. My life, my ideas revolved around the organization. I still feel strongly about it, and even today my social life still revolves around the UNIA." This suggests that, unquote, this suggests that the basis for economic power could lie not in finance, but in interpersonal relationships that underpinned this. Looking at the etymological root of the word economics, Brother Leader Mbandaka, UNIA-ACL UK ambassador, highlights that eco means house, while nomo means management. Thus, economics is, quote, household management, household organization, household control. How a people control, manage the resources for the security and development of their own family, or their own household, or their own community. No African economy without African peoplehood. No African economy without African culture. It's an organized system. For you to have that system, the organized people have to be in place, unquote. One attempt to put these elements in place is the USA-based Us Lifting Us Economic Development Cooperative, also known as ULU, whose primary objectives is to, quote, put in place successful business models that give us the capacity to gain significant control of the economics of our communities and nations, and to help free us from the current state of economic domination and exploitation by multiple forces in the world, unquote. ULU have advanced a 10-point appeal and plan for the new black economy, which you can read on their website, usliftingus.com. And ULU also takes the strong position that that significant economic advancement is impossible with traditional entrepreneurship and business ownership alone. Radically different approaches are required. The ULU Cooperative Economic Empowerment plan adds the otherwise missing and vital necessary element, unquote. Ulu plans to generate a $50 billion economy and asserts that the time to collectivize our resources is now. The Ulu strategy includes a credit union and initiatives also in the program of the interim National African People's Parliament. Quote, millions of our people sincerely desire a stronger, more vibrant economic foundation for our communities, and there is a widespread frustration with our failure to make better use of the large sums of economic resources that flow through our collective fingers. If you count yourselves among these numbers, join with Ulu and help to build the machinery of real and lasting economic power for our people. We need you. So tonight, Kings and Queens, we ask the question, what do we need to do to attain economic power? How was the UNIA-ACL able to generate such massive amounts of money? Do we need a mass organization to have any chance of attaining economic power? Are peoplehood and culture really central to economic empowerment? Why can't traditional entrepreneurship and business ownership alone deliver economic power? How are iNAPP's credit union plans progressing? Our special guest, Kings and Queens, are as already announced, Brother Leader Mbandaka, spiritual leader of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement and UK ambassador for the UNIA-ACL. And on the line from the United States of America, we have Baba Hekima Kanyama of Us Lifting Us. He is, which Us Lifting Us, as has been explained, is an economic development cooperative based in Atlanta, USA. Ulu represents the leading edge of a new and exciting movement to integrate large-scale, cooperatively owned business enterprises into the economic landscape of black communities. This strategic innovation is vitally necessary and has proven to be effective in other communities globally. Baba Hekima, do we have you on the line?
I'm here, brother.
Greetings, Baba Hekima. In case you were not aware, let me just introduce myself. My name is Brother Shakara. I'm joined in the studio by co-host Sister Kai and our resident guest, Brother Leader Mbandaka. It's an honor to have you on the line, my elder. Greetings and welcome.
Greetings, family.
Tendai Mwari.
All right. Just to clarify, Baba Hekima, I'm made to understand, just to give people an understanding of where you're coming from, that you were a high-ranking member of the Republic of New Africa, which was one of the organizations that stood at the forefront of the African liberation movement. In the midst of COINTELPRO and the Black Power era. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Just to give if you can, just to start off our show, give our listeners an idea of what the Republic of New Africa was.
Yes. Well, in 1968, at a convention in Detroit, members, and there were more than 500 members present, formed a provisional government and elected leadership. Malcolm's widow, Betty Shabazz, was elected vice president. Robert Williams, then in exile in China, was elected president. There were any number of other officers elected as well. Karengo, in terms of culture. Emiri Baraka, also in terms of culture. H. Rap Brown, I think in terms of Minister of Defense. The Henry brothers out of Detroit. So, again, that's 68. And it began to build around the U.S., and I got involved in 69, maybe. It's hard to tell. Those years ran so closely together. Mm-hmm. But in 1971, as a part of, as you mentioned, COINTELPRO, under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, myself and 10 other persons were targeted for attack and assassination. And miraculously, we came out of the fray without any wounds, serious wounds, but 3 police officers. One was fatally wounded, and we ended up in 1971 in the international news as the RNA-11. Myself and my wife and other people were included. So that's where, at that time, I was the first vice president of the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa.
Okay.
Mario Badeli was the president.
Give thanks, Baba Hekima. And we, in that spirit, we honor your entire family, your wife, Mama Tamu Kanyama, and your daughter, who I believe's name is Chinyere. All of whom are involved with Ulu, if I'm correct in saying so. So we do want to. I asked you that question just to give our listeners a backdrop to say that you are an elder who has been in the fight for decades. Yeah, so you know what I mean. And so we want to honor you for that work and that sacrifice, my elder. You know what I mean. We believe in that on Afrika Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Now, in terms of Ulu, how did Ulu get started? So our listeners can know.
Yes, in 2011, I'm sorry, as we were doing around the African world, beginning to focus more sharply on economics, we established a think tank here in Atlanta, and several members of the community were involved. We took our times and we brought in consultants, experts, from around the country, and as a matter of fact, there had been a contingent of 10 Africans from America who went to Spain to study the Mondragon cooperatives in the Basque region of Spain. So we had the benefit of their travel. And so in 2013, we formulated in our current structure as a limited liability company. But again, we started in 2011 as a study group and then continued to build the foundation.
Okay. And you're a board member. I believe the most notable figure, and I think most people who consider the founder, when we had Mama Marimba Annie on in January, she spoke to us about Brother DJ Jordan.
That's right.
Who initiated? Okay, all right. Now, Baba, we understand that in terms of economic development, as we read in our spec, Us Economic Cooperative Union is basically putting forward the fact that we cannot simply develop our communities in terms of business entrepreneurship. Yeah. Now, this is interesting because many of our brothers and sisters are promoting this concept as the basis of economic empowerment. Can you please explain for our listeners why Ulu is basically stating that, you know, simple entrepreneurship alone is not sufficient, basically, for developing and solving the economic problems of the African community?
Yes, and again, we take that strong position. Are we? You hear me?
Yes, Baba. Go ahead.
Okay. There's a little echo.
Okay.
I'm hearing myself.
Right. We're going to try and work that out, Baba. If you
continue.
Yes, thank you. If you could persevere as much as we can. Thank you.
Okay. Our position is that any time that we have been successful, or any time anyone else in the world has been successful,
yes,
in terms of economic empowerment, their economic activity was within their own container.
Yes.
Their cultural container, their social container. In the U.S., we very often speak of the era of Black Wall Street and the era of mutual aid societies. Those were times and situations where we involved ourselves in economic activity within our own cultural container. Now, it wasn't in most cases intentional. There was, staunch segregation, violence, and other forces that corralled us into our own spaces. But today, those containers do not exist. we often think that they do just because we have an affinity for each other. We know that we need each other. And the rhetoric is that we can do it if we just support each other. But the cultural container that has allowed for our success and for the success of every people on the planet, for us, has been destabilized, has been reverse engineered. We know that in some cases, some of our successes economically were attacked, and in many cases, many lives lost. But the controllers of this economy, and I suspect the global economy, knew that every time we were attacked, we rebuilt. Mm-hmm. And so it was necessary for them to deconstruct what had been built. And so our taste was manipulated, our interests were manipulated such that we didn't just do business on our side of the track. We were encouraged to do business on both sides of the tracks, and their also penetration into our communities. So we feel that it's necessary to go back to the basics and engineer an intentional economic community where the resources that we aggregate or pool stays in the hand of the collective.
Yep.
The institutions and systems that we build stay in the hands of the collective. And the benefits and features of this process benefit not only us today, but the structures that we build, the institutions that we build also for future generations. So we have and if you visit our website, one of the slides is Garvey's return.
Yes.
And we take the liberty to think about that whirlwind as an economic whirlwind. And so we like to think of ourselves as Garveyites as well. Mm-hmm. And bringing into creation and strengthening and maintaining an economy. So it's one thing to be in business for yourself. It's another thing to build an economy. But again, our major point is that when we do business with our brothers and sisters today, we do not do business with them in our own container, such that most of what we do automatically flows back to the international bankers, to Wall Street, to the other elements that penetrate, dominate, and exploit us. And so we think that it's absolutely necessary. Now, I'm not saying that all businesses need to be a part of this intentional economic community, but a significant portion of what we do needs to be in our own hands so that we develop the scale, the muscle, the intelligence, so that we can actually manage and orchestrate an economy and build it where it's local, regional, national, international. And you don't do that with individuals coming into business basically with the idea that they're going to do their things all by themselves, become billionaires, and with very little coordination and predictability in terms of the overall welfare of the community. I'll just say this.
Yeah.
When your synopsis was right on point, because what we are seeking to do is to get us to change the definition of Ujamaa from cooperative economics to family-centered economics. Family-centered economics as opposed to individually-centered economics. And when we deal with economics from the viewpoint of family-centered, then it gives us guidance in terms of the structures, the process that needs to be built.
Okay.
A 22-page operating agreement for our business organization, and that's the structure, the process, all the legalese, so to speak. Mm-hmm. We also have a 4-page values and ethics document that speak to family-centered economics.
Right.
I'm in agreement totally with you that that's the essence. The real currency are the relationships that we build. And so I'll stop there.
Okay, Baba. To give our listeners an idea, then, and I'm gonna ask you some questions in terms of particular points in the ULU 10-point program, 10-point appeal and plan in a second. But to give our listeners an idea of the kind of work that ULU is engaged in at the moment, what is the work of ULU at the moment in terms of developing this mass economic foundation?
Yeah, the primary work is building membership. And what I mean by that is that a member is a partner in a limited liability company, and it's global. We have members in the UK as well.
Yeah.
Also, building out the infrastructure, the systems and management processes that will allow us to manage tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and potentially millions of members as we build. Also, we're involved in members, and only members can acquire equity in the company. That's what we use primarily to fund what we do.
Okay.
Also, the work now is building businesses, and we're just now into that phase. And those businesses are owned by the total collective, but managed by the workers.
Okay.
So that's our current work. Primarily, we have 3 phases. The first phase is a community buy-in or building membership and putting in place the systems. The second phase is what we call capitalization. Our target business model, is what we call the Us Lifting Us Market and Exchange.
Right.
An edifice on a scale of 125 to 175,000 square feet, the size of a regular Walmart or whatever you would have as your big box stores in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to use those as marketplaces. In other words, we would not be in control of all of the inventory. The inventory would be controlled by partners in the community, but use that as an anchor institution to build in other aspects of the economy. So that's stage 2. Stage 3 is acceleration, where we expand globally and where we build to scale. We don't think that we can really have the kind of impact and influence that we need to have until we are actually into the billions of dollars a year in terms of gross revenue. So, but right now, the focus is membership, systems, and we have gone into our big plan and taken out one element, that's the coffee shop and networking lounge.
Right.
We're currently now involved in opening our first prototype that can be duplicated around the country and around the world.
Okay.
Around coffee.
Okay.
That's where we are today.
All right. We'd love to hear more on that at some point, Baba. Let me ask you a question, though, of a political nature. When you begin to speak about economics, there are some political scientists in the activist community of particular political persuasions in general who tend to automatically use the word capitalism to define what we are talking about. Yeah. Is ULU a capitalist institution? And if not, how does ULU differentiate itself or distinguish itself from the economic ideology of capitalism?
Yes, ULU is not a capitalist formation.
Right.
We're a mutual company. We're a cooperative company. We're a group-owned enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no clique or ownership group at the top. One member, one vote. And it doesn't matter how much capital you put in to acquire an equity position, the power is in the membership. One membership, one vote. And membership is not only individuals, but membership are also institutions.
Right.
So businesses and other associations. But no, we are trying to survive and go beyond the ravages of predatory capitalism. So we have deliberately formed ourselves as a mutual, group-owned, cooperative enterprise. And our operating agreement is structured in that way.
All right, give thanks for that, Baba. You said I've heard Brother DJ online say words to the effect that, because I've dealt with one aspect of the political critique that may come. The other critique may come from the black capitalists themselves, who talk about money. Yeah, whenever we begin to talk about economic development, the first conversation is money and business. And I've heard brother DJ speak about the fact that something that Brother Leader Mbandaka, in fact, has said, that we're not actually dealing with money, we're dealing with our relationships. Yeah. Could you explain that for our listeners? Why the primary focus is for Ulu is not on money but on people?
Yes, because money is a byproduct of the relationships and the activity of people. Mm-hmm. Money is for the most part a fiction, so we know that with money, what you do with it is determined by the values and the patterns of that have been established in the culture. And so, for instance, in the U.S., you could come to my community and you could put $50 billion on the streets, give everybody whatever. You could put $1 trillion on the streets. And because of the lack of quality relationships in the context of that community, having some sense of sovereignty, some sense of self-control, some sense of self-identity, that money would probably within 24 hours be right back in the coffers of whoever put it in place. Uh-huh. So, yes, our members are pooling resources, financial resources, as we speak. But the goal is to build the kind of institutions and infrastructure that in and of itself would make us wealthy, because we're able to produce the real value, is service to our people. And so I'm not sure that answers the question in the sense that our brother DJ meant it. Mm-hmm. And of course, when we look historically at the term that I mentioned earlier, Ujamaa, in terms of the Jewish Nayari and the Urisha Declaration,
yes,
economics is always familyhood. It's familyhood that creates an economy. So it's the family first. And of course, we know that money is a fairly recent invention. Mm-hmm. For most of human history, there was no money. Mm-hmm. But there was trade. There was commerce taking place, and it was based on relationships.
Right. Give thanks, Baba Hekima. I'm going to hand you over now to Mama Kai, who's going to ask you a couple questions. Tendai
Mari, greetings, Baba Kanyama. Now, give thanks for your...
Yes.
Greetings. Give thanks for your breakdown and the initiative that you've all launched. Now, I know that some of our listeners, particularly Galaxy listeners, wouldn't have a problem with this whole concept of cooperative economics, but they may be wondering why a coffee shop. What's the reason behind choosing that particular business? And because you said the membership is global, could you share your reasoning behind that?
Well, our primary model is not the coffee shop. Our primary model is the Ulu Mart, or the Us Lifting Us Market and Exchange. But on the route, or on the way to that, we chose to take one of the elements of the bigger project and start a standalone business with it now. And the reason, a part of the reason, is that coffee is a black thing. You know, the original plant comes out of Ethiopia. In terms of globally, we're involved in the trade. At least our hands are in the dirt, producing, growing the coffee, processing it. And it gave us an opportunity to create a model that allowed us to come together and build relationships around around coffee and around other things that would happen there. And so there'll be any number of things that would happen there. And so it's just a model, and it could have been any models. But it's particularly fitting since most people don't go to coffee shops to drink coffee. They go there because of relationships. And as a result of relationships already formed or intended relationships, and certainly in our community, it's a way for us to stay in communion with each other. At the same time is maybe turning a profit or having excess capital or what we call a surplus, so that it wouldn't be something that would put a drain on the coffers of the institution. And it's more easily duplicated in other communities. That's not to say that we won't find other models other than coffee, but that's our primary reason, and it was something that the membership felt good about us pursuing.
Tenamor, now you may have mentioned this already, I may have missed me, but how successful is the coffee shops, and how long has it been going? You haven't launched, or you haven't launched?
It's not going. It is only now under formation, so the doors are not open.
Oh.
Now we started thinking that we were going to purchase a coffee shop, a 15 years old coffee shop in another part of the country. So that fell through, and we ended up having to do it alone. So the doors are not open. We anticipate the doors being open by March 18th of this coming year. That's our annual members meeting here in Atlanta.
Okay.
So I wish it was. The doors were open, and doors were open on 25 or 50 of them. And that's the idea. But the marketplace, the larger project, is our primary model. But keep in mind that ULU intends to have co-op businesses in agriculture, in transportation, in hospitality, in energy, almost any industry that is possible for us to have, to create jobs for our people, and to have businesses that could maintain those jobs and also to create a surplus. We want to have them. And so there is no particular industry that we favor over any other industry. And I'm not sure of the situation in the UK, but here, in many of our communities, we have successful black businesses that are closing their doors because the children and grandchildren don't want to succeed their elders. And in many cases, those businesses could be kept alive and actually stimulated and grown if the mentality and the funding base was there. So not only creating new businesses, but also acquire already existing businesses in many different industries.
Yes, sir.
Tendamara, that's very much part of Papa Garvey's model as well. And I think what you shared there is very similar over here. There have been very successful businesses that have, from maybe the 40s, 50s, and 60s. They're now elderly, men and women. They're looking for their children to take over, and the children are not interested. Actually, all the children want to do is just sell the business. And that is so common.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Tenamwai.
Now, again, Ulu plans to have, under the ownership of the collective, hundreds and eventually thousands of businesses. Our goal is to get to a what I call a tipping point or a threshold where our business penetration and ownership or footprint in a particular community puts us as the dominant business force in that community. And that's for an economic purpose, yes, but it's also for a spiritual and psychological, a social purpose as well. It's going to be, and it will be, liberating for especially our young people to know that not only do they have jobs, but that, or new jobs that are under our dominion, but that they know that their parents and their grandparents are not still taking it on the chin, that we have found systems and perfected those such that we are progressively gaining greater and greater economic control of the economic landscape of our communities. Right now, we can't appreciate the psychological and spiritual damage that's being done to our young people, knowing the prospects or the limited prospects for any appreciable change in their lifetimes or in the lifetime of even their children. So we look forward to the benefits beyond economics and beyond politics that would come from us gaining significant control of the economics of our local community.
Yo, this is Swiss So Solid. Afrika Speaks with Alkebu-Lan, Galaxy 102.5.
One of the things that I mentioned a little earlier, but I may not have made it clear, ULU is a global business organization.
Yes, sir.
It's formed as a limited liability company for profit, but it's structured as a cooperative. So we use the LLC form because in the States and globally, the co-op statutes are, in some cases, are very antiquated. It's almost impossible to do business using some of the co-op statutes in the States and in some countries. But the LLC structure and model is fairly ubiquitous globally. And so what it allowed us to do is to create a co-op inside of a business model that's usually used for other purposes.
Yeah.
But it also allows us fairly simply to return benefits to our members.
Right.
And most of the brothers and sisters wanted to know, well, if this thing succeeds, you know, how might that impact me? So there is a very definite opportunity, a good opportunity for returns to our member owners. And so I wanted to make sure that was clear, and but that's global as well.
Well, but the other implication I made to understand is that you can keep the membership exclusive to Africans, correct? Under the LLC.
Say that again.
I made to understand that you have more control under that format for keeping the membership exclusive to the race.
That's right.
Yes. Okay.
In other words, what we have is one of the clauses in our membership application is that a person certifies that they are a person of Black African descent.
Right.
And we go further in saying in our operating agreement that these are the persons in class for whom ULU is created.
Right.
And so you must first be a member, and then, and only then, can you acquire equity in the company.
Okay.
Membership is $50 US per year.
Yes.
To be an active member and to have voting power. But a person can acquire as many units, ownership units, as they can afford, but they must first be approved as a member. If
Okay.
they're not approved as a member, they cannot acquire an equity status in the company.
All right. Thank you, Baba Hekima. Please stay on the line. We're going to interact with our resident guest right about now. And then we're going to open up the lines because I'm sure our callers would like to interact with you. Sisters and brothers, you can text us right now on 07399359614. When we open up the lines, you will be able to call us on 07923334515. Don't worry if you didn't get that. I shall be reading it again. But for now, we're going to hand over to Brother Leader Mbandaka, UNIA-ACL UK Ambassador and spiritual leader of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement. Brother Leader, being a student and a son of yours, I know that much of what our Baba Hekima is espousing over the airways will be very much in line with things that you have taught over many years. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, in terms of where we're coming from, Brother Leader, in terms of what things that Baba Hekima has said, I'd like you to first of all expand upon the importance of us having a people-centered rather than a capital or money-centered ideal of economics. Yeah, and in that respect, what is the role of culture? What role does culture play in the development of an economy or an economic system?
Well, first of all,
sorry, Baba Hekima. That question was for our resident guest, Brother Leader Mbandaka. Yeah, but I will come back to you on that question, Baba Hekima. So please do stay on the line, okay?
Thank you.
No problems. All right, go ahead, Brother Leader.
Well, first of all, as the spiritual leader of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement, I would really want to thank and welcome our Baba Kenyama, and give our commendation and extend our appreciation to him for the wisdom that he has shared with us over the airways. I'm very, very inspired and uplifted by what you've shared with us so far, Baba Kenyama, and the work that ULU is doing for our people to empower an African community in the UK. So we give thanks and praises for that. Tendai Mwari. In terms of economics and the importance of economics serving. Could you put the question again?
Culture. What is the importance of culture to build? Because people see culture as song and dance, and the food that you eat. And so when we begin to talk about economics, people separate the two. Mm-hmm. So what is culture? What is the importance of culture to developing an economy and an economic system?
Okay, so within the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement, we define culture as a collective personality of a people manifested in their natural and complete way of life. So culture is a people's expression of the very nature and the very essence of their being. Culture is how a people see the world. It's how a people express their worldview. It's how a people organize every single aspect of their lives to complement the very nature of being, and in so doing to enhance their own humanity. That is in essence what culture is, and it includes modalities of creative expression, as in singing, dancing, music, art, all of that. These are all modalities or cultural expressions, but they are not the totality of a people's culture. A people's culture involves their spirituality, as I said, it involves their philosophy, it involves their worldview. It is what expresses, as we say, the collective personality of a people. And so it is the basis around which a people organize themselves, in communities, in societies, etc. The culture and the philosophy, which is at the core of the culture, is what informs the psyche of the people. Mm-hmm. It determines their value system, the principles that underpin how they live their lives, how they relate to each other. Culture is all of that and much, much more. Mm-hmm. And if we understand economics as how a people organize their productive capacity in securing their survival and their prosperity, then we understand that the economic system that a people employ is designed to serve the interest of the people. It's designed to organize the people's creative and productive capacity so that they can secure their material needs. So if you take economics out of the context of culture, then it serves a completely different purpose. And when you talk about the capitalist system, the capitalist system is designed to put capital over the interests of people. So people serve capital rather than capital serving people.
Right.
In our African spiritual cultural traditions, capital serves humanity rather than humanity, or capital is exploited to serve humanity rather than humanity exploited to serve capital.
Right.
Yeah, and that is the big difference. And so this is why everything that Baba Kinyama has said really concurs with our philosophy as the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement.
Certainly.
And our understanding of the approach of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and his organization, the UNIA-ACL, to economics and the concept of culture.
Which is exactly where I was going to go next. In terms of drawing that historical link, because as Baba Hekima has said, that on the website, and I've seen it, there is a picture that says bringing back Garvey, and it's got a simulation of a whirlwind, and so they're bringing back this economic force of Papa Garvey. Based upon what you've heard from our Baba,
and that's why he's on our show this evening.
Most definitely, Garvey lives.
Garvey lives.
Mosiah lives.
Mosiah lives.
So in the month of Mosiah, brother leader, draw that historical link for us in terms of how Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Shout out to our brother Kevin Cobham, who we had on a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he loves Marcus Garvey, but his economics was capitalist. And we didn't really get to challenge it, but we did say that we disagreed with that particular point. And so I think
and we did affirm our understanding
of that legacy
Garvey's economic model, which was clearly a cooperative economic,
which is what Baba Hekima is dealing with. So if we can draw the link then between what Baba Hekima is saying that Ulu is dealing with and what Papa Garvey actually dealt with, to see how we're bringing that forward, because and I'm doing this not just so that we can go on about history, but obviously the Papa Garvey's model, or the UNIA's model, is proven to be successful, so that we can see where Ulu will develop to by understanding where Papa Garvey got to, if that makes sense. So go ahead.
Well, Tenai Mwari, indubitably, it's the best model that we have. This is why we call it the black print for our liberation. Because we do not have a better model. And the great thing about Papa Garvey and Papa Garvey's legacy, and I believe our Baba alluded to this in the wisdom that he shared with us this evening, was the pragmatism of his program. He practicalized every idea that he brought to our people. He demonstrated to us how it can work. And that was the great thing about Papa Garvey. But you see, the other thing that we have to understand is that Papa Garvey was driven and motivated by serving the needs and the interests of our people. He was never driven or motivated by any form of opportunism. In fact, his career as a race leader started with what the socialists might call class suicide. Okay? This is what they would call it.
Depending on what class you consider Papa Garvey to be in. But yeah, go ahead. I know what you mean, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to read from his words, if you'll allow me, Brother.
No problems.
Shakara. Where he says, I had to decide. He's traveled the world, okay? He's traveled throughout South and Central America. Of course, he was born and raised in Jamaica. He travels to Britain and travels through several countries in Europe, and he observes the conditions of our people. The woeful, oppressive conditions of our people. He speaks to Africans from other parts of the world, including the African continent, and of fundamental importance, the African continent. He speaks to sailors and students from Africa who he meets in Europe and in Britain, which is part of Europe. And of course, he's preoccupied with the conditions of our people around the world and what is it that he can do to alleviate the suffering of our people. And he says, and bear with me, he says, I had to decide whether to please my friends and be one of the black whites of Jamaica and be reasonably prosperous, or come out openly and defend and help to improve and protect the integrity of the black millions and suffer. He says, I decided to do the latter. That's what the socialists would call class suicide. So, and when you commit class suicide, you're no longer capitalist.
Right.
All right?
Okay. To put some meat on those bones, he talk about being in the position of being a foreman in certain institutions, and basically leading strikes on behalf of the workers.
He had already gone through that experience.
Yes.
That happened in 1907.
Yes.
When he was a foreman for the P.A. Benjamin Printery company.
Yes.
And he got that job at the age of 18, which was remarkable in the context of the social matrix of the time. Because only white men, and at best, light-skinned Africans or mixed-race Africans of middle age would normally get that kind of job. So it's a measure of how skilled and how qualified Papa Garvey was, how supremely skilled he was, that this dark-skinned African with strong African features and at such a young age was given a foreman's job. That was unprecedented, okay? And then when and this is a young man between 18 and 20, found that these people were suffering, the working conditions, the level of pay was inadequate, and people were coming to Papa Garvey as a foreman and saying, bringing their woes to him. And in the end, to cut a long story short, Papa Garvey not only supported the workers, he sided with the workers and he led the strike against the P.A. Benjamin Printery and was subsequently sacked at the age of 20. He had worked with them for a couple of years and he was subsequently sacked. Right. So I guess that must qualify him in socialist speak as a non-capitalist.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Papa Garvey went on to start the UNIA-ACL. Right. And when you look at the aims and objectives of the organization, he talks about to build in terms of the aims and objectives, building a universal confraternity. He talks about promoting the spirit of pride and love, and he lays out the entire program, which is about the upliftment
of the people,
of the people,
right.
Administering to the needy, reclaiming the fallen, etc., etc. He talks about building universities and schools and academies, etc. These are the aims and objectives. There are 11 aims and objectives. And it's at the 10th aim and objective that he lays out the aim to establish commercial and industrial worldwide intercourse, which is a business element. Yes. So clearly, the business is going to be established to serve the social needs, the cultural needs, and to empower us politically so that we can become the masters and controllers of our own lives and our own destiny.
All right.
Tenai
brothers and sisters, there's so much more to be said on that, but we're going to open up the lines right about now. The lines are open. If you would like to interact with Baba Hekima Kanyama, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, of Ulu, us lifting us kings and queens, our African cooperative development union in the United States of America. And many of the members of the UNIA-ACL brothers and sisters are also members of Ulu. And it was when we had Mama Marimba Annie on earlier this year that she first mentioned Ulu to us. And so we promised to get them on, and we're fulfilling that promise to our spiritual mother right now, kings and queens. The numbers to call are 07939, 3599614. Alternatively, 07923 334-515. The lines are now open, kings and queens. Calling now.
This is Swiss Solid. Afrika Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Galaxy 102.5. Blaze the fire.
I have a text here, and it says, "Good show. Questions to Baba Akima. How many members does Ulu have? And how many U.S. states and how many countries does Ulu operate in?" That's from Josephine.
You thanks for that, Sister Josephine. Baba Hekima, did you hear that?
I did. On our website, one of the links, it says members/owners, and anyone can see our membership list. We're about 350 members. We're in 7 countries.
350 members, 7 countries. Yep. All right. I'm looking at it now, and I want to shout out to our brother Ifayomi Grant, who we had on our show a few weeks ago, who is a member of Ulu, as listed on the website. Yes. I want to shout out, to brother Ankh Aku, who we met in the UK on the 1st of Mosiah at the Reparations March. We met him in London. So yeah, these are all members of Ulu. You know, so yeah.
Tenamore, another texter says, most of the listeners think buying from our own is racist because we have been taught to love Caucasian, Indian and Chinese people and to hate ourselves. This is why we are committing racial genocide by breeding with white European people. We first have to love self, understanding the need of race-first politics, then using this to educate ourselves to develop a nation-building program that puts buy black, eat black, love black, support black and empower black at the center of everything. Without this, we are doomed to eternity. Patrice Lumumba.
All right, give thanks for that. Sisters and brothers, the lines are now open. 07 399 359 614 07 923 334 515. Would you join Ulu, brothers and sisters? Is Ulu sounding like something that you think the African community needs? Is this just more talk, or does it sound more like, you know, something that we need to be acting upon, kings and queens? Why is it that with all the organizations and whatever that we have in our community right about now, why is it that we haven't as yet fulfilled this cooperative economic model that Ulu is now proposing, kings and queens? 07 399 359 614. Alternatively, 07923 334 515. Mama Kaya?
Tenamore. Brother Kanyama, sorry.
Yes.
Now, my understanding that you have a credit union, or you're in the process of forming a credit union, and also the Interim National African People's Parliament, which is in its infancy at the moment, is starting the process of building a credit union. From your experience, why is this important, and what would it serve? How would it serve our people?
Well, first of all, a credit union is a cooperative. I mean, it's one of the cooperatives that we're used to, but we don't, in many cases, understand it and take advantage of it. It is a group-owned enterprise. Now, as a part of our big idea of the marketplace, we envision credit unions and other financial institutions as a part of that model. We think of them very, very favorably, and as one of the more stable institutions in any community. And in many cases, we don't really realize the power of the credit union. And right now in America, and maybe even around the world, some of the younger people are beginning to understand just how powerful they can be, and are organizing themselves to take control of the local credit union.
Now, Baba, obviously you've been in this this whole business for a while. Is trust a big problem amongst our people?
Say that again?
I said you've been in this business for a while, whether in the field of politics and economics. Would you say that trust is one of our biggest problems?
It is, but it's something that we can overcome, and I think we overcome it with excellence of organization and structure, and to create clear successes. And those clear successes will chip away at the mistrust and the lack of confidence. And it's a factor, and we don't allow it to stop us. And we just continue to build with the energy that's in place, but understanding that a sovereign psychic or sovereign consciousness demands that you build institutions and systems in furtherance of that mentality, of that knowing that ultimately you are responsible. We are responsible for our existence, and we say in the 10-point appeal and plan, we take full responsibility for the economic destiny of our people and nations. And so, yes, that lack of confidence, that forget the word that you use, is there. Okay. And but we have to build in spite of it.
Give them. We have Sister Nahanda on the line. Tell them why Sister Nahanda. Garvey lives. Mosiah lives.
Get it?
Development, so to speak, as to the necessity of it, or is it just appealing to like-minded, so to speak? Okay.
Hear the question?
I could not hear it.
Okay, what our sister Nahanda was asking if Ulu has spiritual and cultural programs that run alongside the economic ones to develop our spiritual and mental socialization as well as our economic. So is there a simultaneous process of spiritual and cultural mental development alongside the economic programs of Ulu?
I guess the answer is no. Each Thursday we have an international call that lasts 2 hours. The first hour deals with our basic empowerment plan. The second hour includes orientation and training for members, and that's a global call. Now, we do interlace some aspects of culture, values, ethics into that discussion. But we are primarily a business organization, and we appeal to many different spiritual and cultural communities. And so we deliberately stay clear of anything other than the broad spiritual underpinnings of our people on the planet. Mm-hmm. And but again, we're primarily, first and foremost, a business organization. And yes, we'll bring people in who will highlight some cultural or spiritual aspects of who we are and who we have been to support what we do from a business perspective. And of course, you can't separate business from the other aspects of the social life of people. And so, but by and large, we focus on business and economics.
Thank you very much, Brother Ekima. We have Brother Akram on the line. Jumbo.
Yeah, Brother Akram from the African Cooperative Union.
Good to hear from you, my brother. Tendai Mwari.
Away for a while, and then also I've been saying so. I have not been in touch for a while, but and even this evening, I'm sorry I'm coming in late because I had some work to do, so I'm coming in late on the program.
Better late than never, my brother.
But I just want to. I do not know if the brother from America have heard about the African Cooperative Union, which we have started out here, and basically the whole idea is to incorporate with all organizations from whatever point of view in order to set up what we call the biggest business that black people has ever known in order to tackle the situation that we're in. And unless we all come together as one, basically we're fighting a losing battle. I have some documentary which I will post to you all concerning Julius Nyeri. And he was very much in favor of cooperatives. He saw that the only solution for us as black people is the cooperative movement. And unfortunately, it became independent some years ago. And unfortunately, even with the Pan-African movement, nothing much has been done over the last 60 years since Africa has become independent in the way of moving this idea forward. So I'm glad to hear that somebody in America has, is taking that road, and I'm hoping that we can link together with the African Cooperative Union here, and I'm hoping that we can exchange some ideas, in moving this idea forward. So.
Thank you, Brother Akram. Brother Akram, please give the website for the African Cooperative Union.
The website is www.acu.coop.
Is that .com or something else? .coop.
.coop, yeah.
So COOP.coop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Brother Akram, for that call, and we do encourage our brothers and sisters listening to Galaxy Radio to do check out the African Cooperative Union. Brother Hekima, did you hear that call?
I could not hear him.
Okay, so we had Brother Akram on the line. He's a brother who is one of the founding members of an institution over here called the African Cooperative Union, basically doing similar work to that of Ulu. And so he was basically saying that he would like to reach out to Ulu to see if you can unify your efforts and share ideas and these kinds of things. So he'll be in touch with you. Yeah. But you will. We
need that so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And so please do check them out at www.acu.coop. Yeah, if you would like to check them out in your own time, that's www.acu African Cooperative Union.coop. COOP. Okay, Baba. All right.
I've got text and it says the Willie Lynch syndrome is holding us back from building a viable economic base, and because of this Willie Lynch syndrome, we are dependent on others for our economic survival, something which Marcus Garvey detested. And that's from Patrice Lumumba.
All right, big up Patrice Lumumba. Somebody's pouring a serious libation.
Big name there.
You know what I'm saying? Thanks for that.
Thanks, Brother Patrice.
All right. Brother Hekima, I want to ask you one of those difficult questions. I'm a young brother, far more in the age range of Brother DJ than yourself. And one of the things that's beautiful about Ulu is that you can definitely see a merging of elder energy and youth energy. Very much present, very much at the forefront. You see the elders and the youth together, and our sisters and our brothers together in forwarding this agenda. But many young people of my generation and younger have heavy, significant critique for our older generation, and in general, and our elder generation of Pan-Africanist or black nationalist persuasion in particular, for not having developed an economic model to build upon the legacy of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. In your expertise and experience, Baba Hekima, as a long-time activist, what have been the primary stumbling blocks for African organizations, black nationalist organizations, who have always spoken about the importance of economics from achieving the economic visions that we have spoken about? What do you say have been the stumbling blocks? And how does Ulu plan to overcome those stumbling blocks?
Well, I'll be 72, my birthday next week.
Wow. Happy birthday, brother.
Makorokoto, you live?
But I've been an activist since 63, 62 in the sit-ins.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I've known the importance of economics, I got caught up in, quote unquote, the movement that focused on trying to create changes in existing systems
right.
that were not ours.
Okay.
And so the primary impediment to our empowerment, and to some extent, has been the aware ones who should have known better, diverting or committing most of our energies to changing institutions outside of our community.
Okay.
And so what I'm hopeful has happened now is that we have gone through those phases, and enough of us are through with that, and that we're willing now to spend the years, the money, the time, whatever it takes to perfect our way. And so these young people today are certainly different than in my time, and so they've gone beyond Barack. They've gone beyond 30 years on a gold watch. All the things and trappings that lured us, they've gone beyond that. So now we have to do the grunt work of developing these institutions that speak to our need to be masters on this planet.
Okay.
So I'm very encouraged about this new energy that's on the planet.
Give thanks, Baba Hekima. The numbers to call is 07399 359 614, 07923 334 515. As Mama Kai always says, from now on it's 1 minute wonders, kings and queens. We have Brother Shabaka on the line. Tell my brother Shabaka.
Yes, Tenamari.
Tenamari.
Yeah.
Garvey lives.
This is like a breath of fresh air. This is what is needed. An organization like this is needed for all the organizations, the serious organizations across the world, to be involved in this. If we are serious about working with each other, okay, to get out of this mess, we really need to be involved in this. And I really commend the brother, the elder, for putting this organization together. It's so needed in this day. We can't be going around marching and protesting about police brutality when we've got something in place to go above that and to sort out ourselves once and for all. So I'll give thanks for this institution.
Thank you very much, Brother Shabaka. Baba Hekima, that was Brother Shabaka just saying give thanks for the work of Ulu, and he encourages all nationalist organizations, serious organizations of our community to get involved in Ulu. We're going to take one more call, brothers and sisters, so it could be you, 07399 359 614, 07923 334 515. Baba Hekima,
yes.
On a foundational level, we're gonna take one more call and then get some closing words from you, because we're coming to the close of our show soon. But I know that, just touching on your last point in terms of the difference between trying to change other people's institutions rather than building our own, which is such an important point. Now, we speak about wealth and the importance of handing down wealth to our children. I believe I have heard you or another elder, I can't remember which one it was, but speak about the importance of handing down not just wealth, but an economic system, economic processes and values to the next generation. Could you speak on the importance of us developing our own economic models, for ourselves. What's the importance of that? Or is it sufficient to just mimic the economic models of other people, whether they be capitalist or socialist or whatever?
Yes, it's imperative that we go inside of ourselves and develop systems that speak to us. It's so very, very critical. We have a saying, we call it the clear choice, that we take control of the economics of our own community or forever be at the mercy of others. Another saying, we often say that there has been no people or community that's ever risen to the level of economic power and respect in the world that did not control its own economy. Mm-hmm. And so there is no vacuum. You either control your own economy or you're a slave. Yeah. I mean, it's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. Now, in the world today, to be dominated by another economy, when that economy very often is predatory capitalism.
Yeah.
They not only exploit you, they take your soul.
Yes, sir.
And so it's absolutely necessary. And if we have the courage to continue to give birth and bring new life into the world, mm-hmm. then we are in major error if we don't do what's necessary to control the environment in which we bring them in and nurture them in.
Thank you very much.
If we're not willing to do that, then stop giving birth.
Yes, sir. All right, Baba Hekima. We have Sister Kinaya on the line. Sister Kinaya, it's 1 minute wonders. Go ahead, sis. Tenamwari.
Tenamwari. God lives. Mosiah lives. You live. You live.
I'd just like to help Baba Hakima's beautiful information that he's actually imparted. I feel it's really to come together. If we look at a lot of the other groups within the community, they do whatever they need to do. They focus on themselves and they build their communities. The only thing is, we are the ones that are financing their communities, and we need to stop that foolishness and start to concentrate on ourselves.
Thank you very much, Sister Kinaya. Thank you very much for that call right there. Okay, Baba Hekima, we're taking closing words from you now. We're going to take some closing words from you. So let's leave whatever message that you would like to leave with the African community in the UK on behalf of Ulu.
Yes, thank you. Please, everyone, visit our website, usliftingus.com, www.usliftinus.com, and find a way to put yourself on the mailing list. There are any number of links there, but we want people to view on the home page. There are 3 videos. View the top video where it says, "At last, a winning plan." And when you finish that short video, it's only about 14 minutes long, click the link below it and request additional information. We will send to you instantly a 22-page operating agreement, a 4-page values and ethics document, so we can put in your hands all the information that you would need to make an informed decision about joining this global enterprise.
Right.
That's with the purpose of us developing, perfecting ways to gain economic control of our local communities and attach those communities globally.
Thank you very much, Baba Hekima, not just for your presence on our show, but for your decades of dedicated activism on behalf of African people. And rest assured that we value your work, and we will get you, yourself, and other members of Ulu on our show again to give progress reports and as well as develop our collective understanding of economics. We give thanks for your presence, Baba. Tenamwari.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, brother leader, we're going to take some closing words. Tenamwari.
Yes, Tenamwari. I think we've been richly rewarded by the lesson and teachings that we have been given by our Baba this evening about the importance of economics, emphasizing cooperative economics.
Yes,
and I particularly appreciate the division that he has created, the clear division he's created between entrepreneurship and economics. You know, establishing an economy. An economy is an economic system that serves a social purpose. Often within a political context. So, or I should say, within a political. I don't know why I said often. Within a political context. So to establish an economic system or an economy, what people have to organize themselves politically and socially for that, for the entity to exist, for that economic system to serve that entity. I hope that's clear.
Yes, sir.
And so when we talk about economics, let us stop discussing economics in a vacuum. You know, Baba Claude Anderson, who is all over the internet, all over YouTube, with some very powerful messages to our people, you know, emphasizes and re-emphasizes the importance of practicing group economics. And he makes it very, very clear that we are wasting our time if we're just engaging individually in economic activity, entrepreneurship. And he makes the point that over 80% of black businesses, African businesses in the USA will fail within 2 years because there is no organized African community. And in the absence of an organized African community, amongst other things, we don't have our natural market. So these are the kind of things that we need to think about. So, and this is why within the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement, and indeed within the interim National African People's Parliament, we're stressing the importance of nation building, because it is within the context of nation building that you establish your political philosophy, you establish your social order, and you create your institutions, one of which will be your economic institution or your economic infrastructure that will service the needs of your nation, your institutions, and the communities therein. So this is what we would want to emphasize to our people, and that is the Garveyite model.
Yes.
Tendai Mwari. And as Papa Garvey says, power is the only argument that satisfies man, except the individual. The nation, the race has power that is exclusive. That individual nation or race will be bound by the will of others who possess these qualifications. Then he goes on to emphasize that we must get power of every kind. I can't finish the quote because of time, so I close with my usual closing words of Papa Garvey's. Unite, organize now or perish. Rise, you mighty African people, for you can accomplish whatever you will. Rumbidzo kuna mwari ye Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Tendai mwari,
brothers and sisters. Yes, this has been Mosiah Radio 2016 for Kujaguli, the 15th of Mosiah. We've brought you 2 shows packed with practical activities connected with the government of the UNIA-ACL. We do encourage you to remember that this is the month of Mosiah. You can check all Mosiah events at alkebulan.org/Mosiah 2016, including our event for tomorrow, our Mosiah session for tomorrow, African fundamentalism and the need for African-centered education. I think I did forget to say that earlier, that the speaker will be myself. So I'll be delivering that presentation tomorrow, Kings and Queens. So do come down at Mama Africa Culture if you like the sound of my voice. Brothers and sisters, this has been Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio, the only de-brainwashing station. We talk it straight and make it plain. Round here we say, Tendai Mwari. God lives.
God lives.
Mosiah lives.
Mosiah lives.
Mosiah Storm. The annual event.